spirit, I want to introduce and request Sri Kiran Garu.
Namaste.
Namaste. Namaskaram. So thank you for taking time out. It's fantastic to have you.
Yes, my pleasure.
I won't attempt what is surely going to be an inadequate measure on my part to introduce you. But just in the context of how Rashtram and Indic Academy have come together and the vision that we have with us the participants of the course that we just concluded on life and works of Sri Ram Swarup Ji. And during the during the course of this journey in the last 2-3 weeks, we've examined this Rishi's thoughts on civilizational matters, on theological matters, and on deeply spiritual matters. We started with the political and the civilizational threats that India faces, and in almost every conversation and the excerpts that Pankaj shared with us and the commentary that he wove around it, we were able to see the prescience and we were able to see the vision that Ram Swarup Ji had. And I know, you had also initiated some support for Ram Swarup Ji and Sitaram Goelji studies, and you must be delighted that something like this is happening and people are participating. So I thought today is a good opportunity to take this conversation forward on how we can participate, how we can engage, and what sort of competencies and what sort of strategies we need to devise to make this our life's work that's fulfilling personally and productive at a civilizational scale. So if you could just give us your perspective and how Indic Academy is looking at this, then maybe we can have a quick conversation with everyone around the ideas that can come up from this forum.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for asking me to have a conversation. I think I really liked what I just saw. That Ram Swarup Ji actually created that pledge. I didn't know about it. I trust Pankaj to come up with this and study him and share it with all of us. I'm just taking a bit off the topic because I'm just fascinated with that. And I want to share and I want to start my conversation on that note. Pankaj, I just shared the Indic Pledge. Can you share that on the screen?
Yes, Shiv, if you can share it.
The only time Pankaj is unsure is when he has to do something technically projecting.
Okay, I shared it. Raghav, you can ask.
Yeah. You share it with me.
Yeah, on the WhatsApp group. Now, the reason I wanted that to be shared is it's important as you set out in your careers to have clarity of purpose, and that is why I was actually when I started in my journey, not in the activist space that you see me. I'm 58 years old, but way back in my professional career, I was very much impressed with Stephen Covey's 7 habits, successful habits, 7 habits of successful people. And there's one chapter, I think chapter 3, which talks about writing out your mission statement. It's a very fascinating exercise. And now, as the typical Americans do, you have websites on how to create your mission statement, and they've dummified it. But actually speaking, if you spend some time reflecting on the purpose of your life, it'll be very useful. So this is a pledge that we created. And if you see, it's a very, very simple contemporary millennial pledge. So I celebrate, and every word is thought through, okay? So I celebrate our civilizational identity, continuity, and legacy in thought, word, and deed. Manasa Vacha Karma. I believe our indigenous thought has solutions for global challenges of health, happiness, peace, and sustainability. I shall seek to preserve, protect, and promote this heritage. And in doing so, discover, nurture, and harness my potential. Connect, cooperate and collaborate with fellow seekers, advance diversity and inclusivity in the society. Now, if you see this pledge, every single word has been thought through in terms of the civilizational identity. What am I? Who am I? Continuity. We are not a civilization, just we are from thousands of years old. The legacy, that is the heritage. Thought, word, and deed is very important, because if you don't believe in it, and if you're just talking about it, or if your actions don't flow it, which is what Rashtram's theme is about, Ichha Shakti and Kriya Shakti, right? Now, and why are we doing all this? We are doing this not just for the sake of preservation, not just because we want to say that we were great at a particular point in time, but because there's relevance to our wisdom even today, not just to ourselves, but to the world at large. And that should drive you, that we are going to save humanity should be your larger vision. We should talk about 7 billion people that we are affecting through Sanatana with our wisdom, and not just us. And this is a very, very important exponential mindset that you need to develop, that I am looking at transforming the world. And if you look at the last paragraph, this is also very important. I must first of all understand what is my swabhava and my swadharma. This is a very, very crucial part. Take all the time you want. Take all the time you want. There is absolutely no hurry. But be conscious. What Raghav keeps talking about, self-awareness. Be aware. What am I liking to do more? Where am I finding more joy? What is my capability? You need to be honest with yourself. You need to discover yourself in every which way. Which is the predominance of your gunas? Which is the predominance of your vasanas? Then, once having discovered, and this discovery process is not an overnight flash. It's as long as you are aware of it. Even now, I'm discovering my potential. Right? Nurturing. Then I have to make an effort. That is where your discipline comes, your dedication comes. This is where your determination comes. This is very, very important. You have to nurture it and harness it. And this is very, very important from the cultural leadership point of view of discovering, nurturing it, and harnessing it. And then the second point is about your ego. You have to think about building an ecosystem, which means you are not a loner, you're not a lone warrior, you're not a lone ranger, you're not going to ride into the sunset, but you have to connect with people who are like-minded, help them, and collaborate them to advance work. Three things are very important. And the last thing is compassion. We have to communicate and believe in and advance diversity and inclusivity. You know why? Because what are we fighting for? We are fighting for pluralism. The West has just now discovered diversity and inclusion. They have still not discovered pluralism. You can stop sharing. They have not yet discovered pluralism, by the way.
And you can go ahead. I'm just.
So we are now talking about preserving, protecting, and promoting. I'm not able to see the screen. I would like to see all the audience.
Okay, I've put up the 1 second.
Yeah, this is fine. This is fine. Yeah, sorry. So we have to think about pluralism, wherein everybody has a seat at one table or two tables, and everybody is empowered. And this is not yet the case in the West. So therefore, therefore this pledge that we have drafted, and the reason why we have drafted this pledge is because we are thinking of scale. Earlier at Indic Academy, we were doing grants, and people used to come and ask us grants, and somebody, I know somebody, and then they would call and say, oh, he's okay. But if you want to achieve scale, I can't depend upon my uncle's references, my friend's references, my grandfather's references. I can't do that, right? I have to be in a position to extend help based on simple shared values. So how do I test? This is a shared value that if anybody shares this on the social media in the public platform, then I know he or she is not going to fib for a few thousand rupees support, because he's putting it out on saying that I concur with this pledge. So now with this simple tool of Indic Pledge, we have been now going in from some 10, 15, 20. Now we are into the hundreds and thousands of extending our help, because we don't need to know. You don't need to know me. You don't need to reach me through somebody and say, oh, let me reach through Raghav. No, you just share the simple Indic Pledge. But the reason I'm emphasizing this is twofold. One is to think of scale, and that's very important. The second is think of purpose. Think of your values. Because if you do not articulate your sense of purpose, then you will be going around. You have to discover whom you are. For example, we have a Varna system of a fourfold Varna system. We also have developed. You can be an academic. You can be an activist. You can be an author. You can be an artist. That means you have a creative bent of mind. You have a writing, thinking bent of mind. You have a scholarly bent of mind, or you have an entrepreneurial or an activist bent of mind. You can have any of these four proclivities. So we broadly classify. So you think of yourself in any of these four buckets. Once you do that, then you see how you are. Okay, what do I want to be? What can I be within this space? If I take up to be an academic, then I do my scholarship with Rashtram, I do my diplomacy with Rashtram, and then I progress, I get my PhD, and I have to be the top scholar, right? That's my vision. If I am an author, and if I decide that I'm writing books, then I have to become an Amish Tripathi or in that range, right? If I'm an artist, I should aspire to be somebody like Rukmini, any creative or a Rajamouli. And if I'm an activist, I should look at all the activism that we are seeing. We are seeing some fantastic work in activism. We have we have Ashish there. We have Sai Deepak. We have Madhukeshwar. We have so many people who are on the ground, who are working very, very hard. People who are working on the ground. In the last few years, we have seen. You have to excel in that space. So when we are talking about leadership, we are talking about first and foremost understanding yourself, understanding what is your capability, what is your core competency. Then we have to talk about nurturing it and making the effort of nurturing it and harnessing it, and having a vision. So this is a very, very important thing. And the reason why I'm emphasizing this, because this is a forum that our association with Rashtram is one of cultural leadership. We are creating a new genre of leadership. You have political leadership, you have a social activist leadership, you have different forms of, you have a management guru, you have, all these CEOs and all these things. But nowhere in the world, there is a concept called cultural leadership. We are creating that cultural leadership for the first time in the world, this genre. And now we are in the process. Pankaj and Raghav are working overtime to create this pedagogical framework, to create a curriculum to nurture what is a cultural leadership. And of course, in our history, we have so many brilliant examples from King Janaka in the Upanishads. We have so many examples of what it means to be a cultural leader. Somebody who has a 360-degree view, somebody who's living in a cube. The way I define it as a cultural leader is a 6-dimensional framework that we have developed. A generalist. He's living in a cube. He's preserving, protecting, and promoting. Simultaneously, he's looking at this. And what is he doing? He's looking at intellectual, cultural, and spiritual. Just like Ram Swarup. I didn't even know that Ram Swarup had a spiritual angle. Can you imagine that a rishi? Of course, he's a rishi. And he a beautiful spiritual angle that he has. Right? So the intellectual, cultural, spiritual angle, Aurobindo, which Raghav talks about and inspired by. So you must think about it on a continuum, not just focus on one aspect of it. And have to bring in the cultural aspect, have to bring in the spiritual aspect in your own development. And remember that you're doing all this. Sanatana Dharma doesn't need you. You need Sanatana Dharma. You are setting out on this task for you to discover your potential and lead a meaningful life. Please remember, you're not doing anybody a favor. So if you remember all that, then this continuity, this integral approach, the integral approach will come. Then you have to think in terms of different time perspectives. You're on Twitter, constantly on Twitter and WhatsApp and social media. I'm telling you, please, next time in the Indic Pledge, I'm going to put saying that I am not on social media. Because social media is the most divisive, not just in the society, but on your time. Think about how much time you waste on arguing with people and all that. It's just a complete waste of time. Right? So now you have to think, what is it? What am I doing? So from a near term, medium term, and long term perspective, I have to plan. And that is important. And then think about your development as a cultural leader in terms of self, selfless, and self. It's the world's shortest poem, a Vedantic poem. Self is the self with the smaller capital S. And that self is discovering yourself. What is your swadharma? What should I do in my life? Then selfless is Ishwararpana Prasada Bhavanata. You do karma yoga. Right? The chitta suddhi should happen. That is the selfless part. Whatever you are doing, it is that immersiveness that all this is an offering to Bhagavan. If that does not there, don't do it. Just become a deracinated, stay deracinated, don't bother. Our Sanatana Dharma is all about bhakti. Please remember that. If you do not have devotion, do not bother. Thank you very much. Okay? Do not be a secular wanting to protect and preserve Sanatana Dharma. No, thank you. You have to inculcate a sense of gratitude, a sense of worship, a sense of offering to Bhagavan. And that's the only way your Chitta Suddhi will happen. And finally, your journey. Ultimately, the Purushartha is what? Ultimately, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Remember that is your Purushartha. That is your purpose. And therefore, if you are wanting to go to the Moksha stage, you have to now, you have to do all this. And finally, you have to get there. You become a mumukshu and go there. And the last point is that remember, there are two kinds of our knowledge. One is a contextual knowledge, a knowledge that because of our education, we were not privy to. Whether it was in mathematics, whether it's in engineering, chemistry, we were not privy to the fact that we knew this. We were, because of whatever happened from McClure onwards to Mr. Hassan in 72, whatever he did, right? Nurul Hassan, yeah. So whatever that has happened, first and foremost, that historical understanding of our knowledge, that is only the beginning of your journey. Do not rest on that, right? You have to think about what is in it for me today. And once you start on that journey, you will see a complete transformation in yourself. What Raghav was talking about, that integration, that journey is about the relevance of every aspect of, including thinking, creativity, every aspect. communication, all aspects will come. And you will see the relevance of our wisdom today. And therefore, you have to think about our context, our knowledge in 3 terms. That is, it is a product or a service or an experience. Any of our knowledge has to be in these 3 things. It has to be a book or a product. It has to be a service, which is a course, or an experience, which is some kind of a tourist experience, or some kind of a. I'll come to that. So, and then what should be the qualities of that? The qualities of that should be, it should be authentic. It should be immersive, right? And it should be transformative. So therefore, if these 3 qualities are there, and if our knowledge is authentic and immersive and transformative, you will see a complete change. You will begin the journey and you will see how you yourself are getting transformed. And lastly, remember that this is all about an ecosystem. This is about Sanatana Dharma. This is about plurality. Therefore, you have to connect with people. You have to help them. You have to cooperate with them. And you have to collaborate with them. This is our 6-dimensional framework that we have developed, which we believe that cultural leaders should have this kind of a mindset. Now, this particular center, what we are proposing is that every constituency in India will have one cultural leader. And that cultural leader will have this 6-dimensional approach. And in that constituency, he will have a complete command. He will have a complete command of whatever are the temples, who are the priests, what are the children doing, how many Sanskrit scholars are there, how many Shastra scholars are there, how many Veda Pathshalas are there, how many music teachers are there, how many Carnatic singers are there, how many Hindustani musicians are there, what are the crafts and textiles in that constituency. You see, we are going to map the culture of that constituency. We will have a dashboard and a mapping. So we will see the health of the culture of constituency-wise health of the culture in that constituency. We can feel it. And then, because he's a cultural leader, he can go and talk to the MP and say, look, there is a toilet that needs to be built in this Veda Pathshala. You have an MP-led scheme. Please come, do it. There's a library that needs to be done in this school. Please come, do it. Today, there's no even an ask. We can keep talking about the central government, what they have done, what they have not done. All that is okay. I mean, that's all not in our hands. But what is in our hands is, have we ever made an attempt to reach out to the local MP and say, this is my cultural requirements. This is what you can do. Let's do it. So just imagine the power at the grassroots level. We are trying to revive our culture, not depending on any politician, not depending on any political things, but at the ground level. As an activist, we are generating this work. And just imagine in 10 years' time, you will see the complete transformation, that at least the information is a thing and people are asking questions. So my appeal to all of you is, come on board this journey. I want all of you to come on board this journey. We'll create a group, a mail group or something like that, and Raghav. And you might be at different stages in your career, different paths, but you have a beautiful pledge by Ram Swaroop. Sleep over it. You have a pledge that we have drafted. Sleep over that. Create your own pledge. Create your own pledge. Create your own mission statement. A clarity. Begin your start. The moment you start writing, clarity emerges. And then just start going inward. You have to go inward. You can only discover yourself if you meditate and go inward. Ask yourself, when are the times when I had complete happiness? When was that flash of happiness came? When was I enjoying the work? And as you ask yourself more and more, then you will discover your talent. You might be hesitant, maybe I'm not capable, maybe this thing. That is where you come to us. I am telling you, our thing is to enable and empower people like you. We want to support people who have that desire, that drive, that determination, that dedication, that discipline. We want to support that kind of people. Support is not a problem. I'm telling you, I have been in this space actively for the last 6 years. Today, I'm only supporting and encouraging leaders who have something to do. I don't want to do anything. I am not wanting to do anything, but only thing is, any leader comes, any person comes with a proposal and say, I want to do this, I'm ready. I want to support. Come. So I have my own leadership. I have a leadership called 4E leadership. I'm also like Venkaiah Naidu and Modi. I also kept frameworks and all that. Okay. So I have this concept of 4E leadership. Envision together, envision, enable, give them the resources and the support, empower. Without empowerment, enabling without empowerment is no point, right? That means they have to be capable of taking their own decisions. And last one is enjoy. I sit back and enjoy. This is my leadership formula. 4E formula. So today, the success of Indian Academy is not because of me. It's not nothing. I am telling you, I'm a shallow scholar. I don't read. I have all this. I just bought this as an art decoration kind of thing. Do not think that I'm a scholar or an intelligent person. No. All I know is I'm a smart guy because of my entrepreneurial background. I'm a smart guy. And I know how to back people and I know how to back ideas. I know how to think big, think scale. I'm a little creative in terms of coming up with ideas. And that's it. All the success is because of my team. Entire success is because of my team. Every vertical is headed by one person, and that person is driving it. I'm sitting back and enjoying. So, to conclude, I would appeal to all of you to join us in this journey to become cultural leaders and discover yourself, because this is about discovering of yourself and expressing yourself. And we are there to support you, and we look forward to a continued engagement. This is not just the only engagement. Now, Pankaj is already working on Sitaram Goel, and then we will be having a series of discussions and events. And together, we will make this a grassroots movement of the cultural leaders. Thank you, Raghav. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I really enjoyed.
And we've enjoyed listening to you. Very passionate, very candid, sort of exhorting us to be our best selves. So I'll actually leave it open for questions now, and then maybe bring it together in terms of the specific activities that we're doing. And how, I think we already have a WhatsApp group. Some of them might also be joining us in the Sitaram Goelji course. So we will create a platform where we will keep this as an ongoing dialogue. And how do we map this? Before we go to the district level, is there something that we can do at the state level? Can we create a repo of the skills and competencies that we have? How do we prefer organizing ourselves? What's the best way to engage with each other? So we'll create some organizing principles around making this sustainable. But let's listen from the team now. Please go ahead, unmute yourself and ask a question if you have something, or if you want to just type it away, I'll be happy to relay. Broadly, the idea is we should come together with a sense of purpose. We will try and create institutional support through our networks to enable both in terms of knowledge, in terms of network, and in terms of just being with you in your journey. And if you are able to give it some form, grounded in culture, and culture eventually informing policy and hopefully politics as well. Right? That's the, let's say, the larger vision. And this is really the first step. What do we think about this?
The initiative here is to take it back to the society, take the initiative back to the society. We cannot just be waiting for the state, for the government. Of course, if they do something good, it's okay, but we shouldn't be dependent on that. Politics
Okay,
almost never leads.
We just put the video on also.
Yeah. Politics never leads great changes. It follows the society. So whatever the society is doing right now, whatever the basic urge of the common urge of the society is, that is what politics imitates, at least in the democratic setup that we are in now. So if we nudge our society towards a certain direction that we want it to be there, then the politics will respond. So it will come in assonance with us, but we first have to focus on the social movement that we are trying to build, that we are already in. So that is the initiative that this cultural leaders that Harikiranji just talked about, that we have even in our geographical reach, cultural geographical reach, we shouldn't be dependent on any other organizations. We should have a social organization, a cultural organization like this. So that is as I understand, that is a vision that Shri Harikiranji shared about. And in that, we need people who understand, who are already sympathetic, who are already conducive to working in the direction of furthering or re-establishing Sanatan Dharma, not just in India, but as Harikiranji says, that our vision is important for all of 7 and 8 billion people. It is not just for India. It won't be good if it is confined in India. Our vision is important for the entire world. And for that, this we see as one step in that direction. So just like you said, we need participation in this. We need people connecting with each other, communicating with each other, participating with each other. That is extremely critical.
So bringing it down to specifics on what we plan to do. One is a short duration course, maybe 1-2 months course on the fundamentals of cultural leadership and cultural fluency. And we can spread it out and make it immersive. And this is really about creating a common set of practices to document the cultural inheritance, and also equipping ourselves to represent that in multiple forums. Right? The deep end of this is the 1-year accelerator program that we have at Rashtram School. It's beginning end of July. We have our first cohort. Some of you are actually part of that. And we are offering a 3-month as an extension of the 11-month fellowship program, which is about self-awareness and then discovering public policy and creating a leadership action. We want to create a top-up or a plus of cultural leadership, which is about the vision that Harikiranji mentioned. Like, how do you develop this 360-degree view? How do you practice that? Who are the mentors that can guide you? So that program is really the sort of long-range effort to build that and really deepen those competencies. Another initiative that Pankaj and I are thinking about, and this is more in the realm of ideas, is to provide a civilizational response to the dominant intellectual narratives at a global scale that we see today. And all of us are aware of this. The dominant narrative is enlightenment metaphysics. Whatever we speak of in terms of governance, in terms of public culture, what we call liberalism more colloquially, is governed by that metaphysics. Right? It comes from that stream, it comes from that cultural and historical experience. And the challenger to that is really Sino-Futures. China has put its hand up and said, we have an alternate vision. We have an alternate vision for globalization. We have an alternate vision for technology. We have an alternate vision for the world order. And we have, we have our own way of thinking about this. We will provide the ethics. I think this is a strategic play that Bharat must engage in to provide an alternative that is not Enlightenment physics, to improve on the Sino-Futures, which is grounded in some elements of Buddhist thought, but also, I would say, corrupted with the Marxist and with the other sort of influences that China has. And this is critical for us to seize. This movement is available to us, in my reading, in the next 5 to 10 years. If we do not produce an alternative, authentic vision for the global futures, which is increasingly driven by the compact between technology and governance and globalization, we will have to follow. Right? So the idea of Dharmic futures is more an intellectual response. This is going to be a series of dialogues, thoughts, articles, maybe eventually more creative endeavors as well. But this is another discourse that we want to lead. So there is leadership development, There is fluency creation. If you want to just engage with culture, you have other things to do in life, but you would want in your free time or as a passion, want to engage with culture and be representatives for culture, we'll curate some programs for that. Harikiranji, maybe you could also talk a little bit about NICE and how some of the entrepreneurial opportunities in culture are opening up for those who want to be in that space. And at the intellectual sort of discourse level is the idea of dynamic future. We are still in the conception stage, but we are convinced that this is something that we'll have to project. Right? So just as a map for you to think about ways of engaging with Rashtram Indic Academy Cultural Leadership Center.
Yeah. In fact, I can see Arinuma is in the group. So that's nice of her to participate. We do have another initiative for entrepreneurs called Network of Indian Cultural Enterprises. But before that, we have a thought center for promotion. And as I keep saying that the global promotion. And that the center is called the Soft Power Center. Our basic idea is that there are certain trends, global trends, that we must use as a tailwind to revive our culture. And we need to understand that, because it's no longer just one country, but we are in a globalized world. And that is, and therefore we need to understand what are the global trends. And we have here again, we have a 6C framework to think about these global trends. The first is in terms of care. And here the worldwide, the importance of health is, and which is one you see in the pledge also. And what we can offer is in terms of Ayurveda and yoga. So therefore we must think of that's one global trend, and therefore we need to offer that authentically, immersively, and transformatively. The second one is cuisine. And here again, I'm telling you, yoga, plant-based diet is 100 times, the opportunity for India is 100 times more than yoga. Trust me on this, because I'm a lazy guy. I don't do yoga, but I eat well, and then I like plant-based diet, right? So just imagine the people, the number of people who exercise and number of people who don't exercise. Right? Everybody eats, and the people who don't exercise. So the momentum towards plant-based diet. So there is veganism, which is activism, right? And there's vegetarianism, and there's whole food, this thing. But if you actually embrace all this into a pyramid called plant-based diet, and we are currently working on, I can see Mala also here, she's a specialist in Ayurveda. We are currently working on plant-based Ayurvedic nutrition. And I'm telling you, this is bigger than yoga. So if anybody wants to pursue a career, go for this, right? So this is the next C. The third is craft. The demand for craft, and craft means just not this thing, but in terms of textiles and handmade, and the Fab India kind of demand is again huge. So in 10 years time, I am seeing all suburbs in the West having these kind of shops, like a Starbucks kind of a shop. You would have shops like a yoga studio integrated with a Fab India, where everything is Indian is available, and you'll see several chains in the West in 10 years time. So craft is the third thing. The fourth is creativity. So you see the technology, the Apple, so the humanities side of it, the design thinking part of it is again very, very important. So again, we have a lot to offer that. And cultural experiences. Within tourism, we have different segments like golf tourism and other different tourism. Cultural experiences or experiential tourism is very big. And therefore, people want to come. And we as a country, we did a conference also on yatras. And the number of Sthala Puranas and the number of yatras we have are huge. So people want that scholarly person to accompany, whereas you're experiencing culture. So you will have a huge benefit on experiential tourism. That's what I call it as cultural experiences. And the last one is consciousness. And consciousness, I mean, in terms of our philosophy or Vedanta or non-dualism, and all that aspect is again a global demand. And you must understand that COVID has created a lot of reflection in the society, in the world, in the global society. There's a lot of people in the last 1 year who are searching for their meaning, true meaning of their lives at whatever stage they're in. What is the purpose of life? There's a search going on. And that search has to result in discovery of wisdom, discovery of a guru. So therefore, there's a need for us. If some of you are interested to pursue that, you can become a guru, and that can be a very, very good pursuit for yourself. So remember that these 6 C's that I'm talking about is the global tailwind. And all these 6 C's, India is the mother lode. It has everything to offer. No other country in the world can offer what we can offer. So therefore, take pride in that. Take pride in that and say that our time for Vishwaguru has come. It will happen. The market forces will make us a Vishwaguru, not because of the politician or not because of anything else. It's just the market forces. They are wanting our wisdom. And if we now don't raise to the occasion and offer them authentic, immersive, and transformative products, services, or experiences, then the failing is with us. Then God help us. No, then we don't deserve to be Vishwaguru. So please remember that we are all at a crucial period, next to 20-25 years, a very crucial period wherein we can forget about what's happening, Vapo, New York Times, all this is okay. It's fine. Just put your head down, stick to what you know, what you can do, think of this thing and deliver. And you will see that economics of this will be the tipping point. And that's why we have NICE also. NICE is doing very well, and I'm not the right person. Somebody else will speak about it on another occasion. Thank you. Thank you, Raj.